Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we are at property address 2567 Southeast Moreland Way here in Gresham. We're located on the, and I describe everything in general as if you're standing in the street facing the front of the house. So right now we are on the right side of the home. That's as you face the front of the home from the street. Dropping into a 3-inch ABS cleanout, and we are on the backyard side of the fence here. In fact, easy way to find this thing, should it get covered up again. Good little landmark here. There's the fence gate. Straight in line with this thing is this little vent sticking out of the wall. If you go straight down from that, you'll see the clean out here. I'm not sure if you'll have ladders stacked on top, but the gravel could, you know, even after these people move out, you could still have gravel that gets over the top. So, good little landmark. Sitting about a foot out from the house, too. Anyhow, dropping in here, zeroed out, water is running. Off we go. And it looks like we are heading towards the street. On these hillsides, I kind of had a feeling that's what was going to happen, but ideally, if the city puts a main in the back and the line goes down the hillside and takes advantage of slope and grade. The reason for that, I've cambered over 25,000 sewer lines at this point in my career. This configuration where a line comes out down kind of below grade, down below street level, even when the main is 20 feet deep, you often end up with some level of settling that occurs. So we've gone through a couple different areas of standing water so far, and we do have some buildup in the line that we're scraping loose with the camera. So right now though, just keep in mind too, I've got a bathtub running pretty high volume water down the line. So we'll see how this all looks once it drains out here at the end. At the very least, I would recommend cleaning the line to get the debris out of the pipe. There's a piece that just went past us there. It's a combination of toilet paper products and grease, fats, much of which comes through your cooking process or going down the kitchen sink drain. Just transition there to 4-inch 30-34, and we'll see how the bellies look once it's fully drained out. Alright, in this scenario, we tie directly into the manhole out in the street. No, pretty easy sewer line to eyeball where it ends up at. About every 4 to 5 homes on a road will tie directly into the manhole. Most will just tee straight onto the main. Some advantages in having that manhole connection like that, just from an access point standpoint. Anyhow, we're going to go locate really quick just to verify where the line's terminating at. You can see how more stuff is breaking loose here as my camera, just more stuff just shot past the camera. So we'll see how that looks on the way out. I think there's still going to be some debris left over, though. All right, I located the camera head successfully. It's one of those fun ones. You can go look through the manhole cover and see the camera down there. It's the manhole that sits straight out from this piece of property, relatively in line with the cleanout, once it turns away from the house to head out towards the road. There's a couple manholes out there. It's the one that sits in front of this house. And I did notice walking up here, the neighbor kind of caught me doing some locates around here and mentioned that maybe some repairs have been done, but I could tell just walking up to the street, there are some fairly obvious spots in the ground where the ground has sunken a little bit, and it looks like it's kind of in the shape of how a trench would be done. So I'm not sure if bellies on this were attempted to be repaired at one point in time. This configuration is a notoriously tricky one. Anytime a line comes out, I don't know. A lot of it probably is just the sheer amount of depth and weight on top of the line. But the amount of times I have seen this configuration, I mean, it's probably thousands at this point, where a line comes out, it doesn't even need to be a ton below street level. And the mains can be incredibly deep, where you theoretically have tons of room and depth to play with. If they are not installed very, very, very expertly, they often result in the level of standing water. So, and spot repairing them can sometimes be tricky too, without redoing very large swaths of pipe. You got to really nail it on these things to get things right. Anyway, there's still a little bit of water trickling to the line. Granted, some of that could be from my camera sloshing some of the standing water behind us, so we're just about to start running into some of that stuff here. In fact, we just started coming into some of the standing water. They're right around the 32-foot mark approximately. You can see that water there is standing. Now, right now we are sitting, you know, that the tail end of that belly there, you were down under 1/4 of an inch, about a 1/16 of an inch there, which you'll generally see with bellies. It'll taper off to a minor amount towards the end. And right now we're still sitting around that level. We're between a 1/16 and a 1/4 inch. Like, I'm going to go do some locates here to see if these locates start lining up with some of those sunken. They're not majorly sunken, but you can see them with your eyes. All right, so we're kind of sitting just before where some of the sunken stuff is at. It's more obvious in the grass area where that belly begins at. Is kind of in the bark dust area where some little stepping stones are. Yeah, it tapers off to a very, very minor amount. It's hard to see exactly where it dissipates, but it's somewhere around the 33-foot mark. And right about here is where visually I can just see the angle change. All right, and this is about where some of those little sunken spots here start to dissipate out. So it's very hard to see it there, but visually the angle, I can just visually see the angle of the pipe change there right around 36 feet. By that point, there's almost zero standing water left over in the line. So from here at about right about 24 feet to 36 feet. Now again, most of the visually obvious, really obvious standing water dissipates by the time you're around 32 to 33 feet. But it looks like it persists a little bit further than that. And that's mostly from a technical standpoint. Like if you were to do a repair on a belly, when you fix a belly, you know, let's say a belly has 3 inches of standing water in the first half of it and a 1/4 inch in the latter half. You can't just fix the significant part of it. You have to fix the entire thing or it won't get fixed at all. All right, and then another spot here. And some of this grease and buildup, granted, it may be exaggerating things or extending the bellies just slightly. Buildup does displace water. It wouldn't be doing so in a huge manner. So in that one there, thus far, I am not seeing water exceeding even a 1/16 of an inch. So here's my 2 cents on this as someone who's been doing this for a very, very long time. I've cambered so many thousands of bellies I can't even tell you. Just knowing this kind of configuration was here, I would have bet you there would probably have been some level of standing water. As it relates to this particular style of home with a line coming out like this, as far as these bellies go, these are relatively minor. That's my opinion on them. Where I generally start to recommend repairs on bellies is once there is an inch of standing water, that's static with no water running at all, for a minimum of 5 feet. Generally speaking, bellies like that I recommend fixes on are usually very close proximity to the home or underneath them, where they're at their highest risk for causing problems. Because if a blockage does occur, you just do not have the same level of leeway to build up head pressure and break things loose naturally on its own. You know, versus if you start sticking a more significant belly out a distance from the home, if a blockage does occur, you have a lot of leeway and pipe to build up water in, which often, as long as your blockages aren't made out of nothing but paper towels and wipes, a lot of times a lot of head pressure will just bust things loose on their own, combined with the disintegration of the debris, assuming it's proper stuff, not improper. So, and knowing that it looks like these have been repaired before, obviously they didn't get a total correction. What I have seen happen on a lot of these over the years, and in my opinion, this is not ultra significant standing water. The worst the standing water gets is about 1/4 of an inch. It's over a reasonable length of pipe from 2 to 11 feet approximately, and from about 24 to 36 feet. You've got anywhere from about, all the way down to probably 1/32 of an inch up to about 1/4 of an inch. Not that can't contribute to flow problems. You can see there is some debris buildup in the sewer line here. There is a little tiny thin skiff at the top of the pipe, but I'm not seeing heavy buildup that shows me that the line is just blocking and backing up every other day of the week. We don't have that kind of buildup in here. If you have that scenario going on, right now my camera's kind of upside down or sideways. Kind of at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen is the top of the pipe. When you have a line that has recurring problems over and over again, generally speaking, you're going to get really heavy, thick buildup at the top of the sewer line. By and large, most everything I've seen in the line here is grease buildup related, and also it probably toilet paper products, possibly even wipes or something of that nature. I broke a fair amount of them loose on the advance out. Hard to say exactly what they are, but you know, by and large, most everything that went down the line, and what's mostly contributing to some of the buildup here is some of the grease that went down the line. There's not inch-thick grease in here, but when you have standing water in a line, when cooking oil, fats, greases go down line, they tend to concentrate more in areas of standing water because they slow down, they cool off, and they start to kind of float to the top of the pipe and collect to the sidewalls. This even got grease in the flow line. So anyway, being that this has already been repaired once, that's at least my assumption from what I can tell here, based on some of the sunken ground. Combined with the fact that standing water here is minor, in my opinion. This is one that I'm not going to recommend repairs on. I mean, it would be nice in an ideal world, but what I've seen occur many, many times with lines like this is what you end up having to do. There's a lot of bellies out there, you know, not in this particular scenario, but on a more flat property where the line doesn't come out below, you know, the street level. You have that different dynamic. A lot of bellies, let's say you've got a 10-foot belly, can often be repaired in that 10-foot swath. When you get lines like this that have very tight tolerances to deal with, rather extreme depths to play with too, to fix a 10-foot belly, sometimes you're redoing 40, 50 feet of sewer pipe to actually earn enough grade back. Sometimes you have to completely reconfigure the sewer line in order to earn enough grade back to get that belly completely removed from the sewer line. So that's my 2 cents on it. I would like to see the line cleaned. There is buildup in the line, most of which, nearly all of it, is grease buildup, and then toilet paper or paper products of some kind that got stuck to it. All the pipe we just scoped there, none of it appears to be broken. All of it is intact. As the line currently sits, it is a functioning sewer line. It is draining slower than ideal because of the standing water, also because of the buildup. But in my opinion, we have adequate flow to the main lateral. You'll have even further improved flow after cleaning is done. The big thing when you've got any amount of standing water, this goes for any sewer line out there, whether it's got a belly in it or not, is to avoid improper stuff. Grease, cooking oil, fats in general are the most likely culprit out there to build up in a sewer line, whether there's a belly or not, but they tend to concentrate more in standing water areas. I tell most folks, just treat your line nicely. Put folded toilet paper down it, not balled up TP. Obviously no wipes, paper towels, flushable wipes, things of that nature. And make sure you're avoiding cooking oil, greases, and fats from going down the sewer line. That's one of the biggest ones out there. Because the water often will slow things down to some extent. You just don't want it stopping up in a big pile of grease where it can really get adhered to the flow line and start building up on you. So that's my 2 cents. I'd recommend cleaning on it, but in my opinion, with the level of standing water you've got here, which is quite minor, combined with the difficulty in repairing this type of belly, it's already been repaired once before from my understanding. I could be wrong on that. I can just see the sunken ground around these areas here. So that's something you could always run past the homeowner to verify that is what's happened before. But that's my 2 cents on it. These are often scenarios that require immense amounts of repair work to fix. You know, in total here you've got about, there's about 20 feet or so of pipe. Sometimes you're taking the repair all the way out to the street to repair these things entirely. And if it's been attempted once before, you know, and they turn this thing from 2-3 inches of standing water down to a 32nd to a 1/4 of an inch, you know, in my opinion, sometimes that's about as much as it makes sense to without just going overboard with it. So where I would ever foresee standing water like this contributing to blockages is under more abusive scenarios, where lots of balled up toilet paper is going down the line, and or improper things like wipes, paper towels, things of that nature, especially if it's coupled with a bunch of grease buildup in the line, things of that nature. Otherwise, under proper usage scenarios, it's not a line where I would foresee seeing blockages on any kind of regular basis under proper usage scenarios. Everything outside that the bellied areas, even the bellied areas, again, they're intact. All the other pipe here is in good shape and functioning properly at this time. Overall, functioning sewer line, but draining somewhat slower due to the standing water, and right now due to grease buildup and some debris in the line. After any cleaning is performed, make sure a rescope is done to check the work. It's important to do that.